Greetings and good day. This is Christopher Fries here with Fries Forge. Today we're going to be making a Viking style knife out of this bit of coil spring. Before I went off for that surgery, knowing that I would be laid up, I went ahead and forged these 3 knives. I took a lot of pictures of it because I didn't have a camera that could take video. Since that time, I'm healed up a little bit, and I actually have this camera that I'm recording this video on, which is the Samsung Galaxy S9. It's actually a pretty good video camera. It's an upgrade from, I guess, the S8 and S7, which is a good thing, very good thing, but it's still not the Panasonic GH5, which we are still working towards. The quest for 4K, as you can see by the freshly updated, at least I hope you can see, freshly updated thermometer in the background. We are over 50% of the way there, so hurrah. These knives will be sold in the quest for 4K, quest for a 4K video camera, which is Panasonic GH5, which doesn't cost $4,000, it's 4K video, not $4,000. Panasonic GH5 costs about $2,500 with a lens. Boy, that was a lot to say. So we forged these all out ahead of time, but I didn't have a video camera to record the process. And while the pictures are not bad, I figure a video would actually be better. So I'm gonna make myself another one of these. Let's get to the forging. Let's do that. In order to reduce the grain size in the steel of this knife, we are annealing this in perlite. This will also make it easier to grind. Before we can actually begin grinding the profile of this blade, there are a few steps that we need to first take. The initial step is that we need to clean off the bottom. and make it flat. This is where the edge will be. It's very important that it be flat. In order to assure uniformity throughout the knife, I'm making certain that the platen and the tool rest are both level, and that they remain that way after the belt sander has been operational. I'm marking out the center of the blade so that I can be certain that when I'm grinding that I don't go too far and cross over where that middle section is. What would work best in this situation would be that marking blue dye that you see others use. I don't have that, so in order to mark out the center line, I'm simply using a dry erase marker. It works plenty fine. Even though the 5160 steel being in an annealed state does reduce the amount of grinding time, it is still quite the process. You move from one grit up to the next in order to make sure that you don't leave these big nasty gouges that look absolutely horrible on a finished knife. So we take our time, we go slow, and we get close to where we want to be before we can heat treat this. And here we bear witness to the Zelda rule of 3. I'm not exactly certain why my forge doesn't like to light on rare occasion like this. I suspect it has something to do with the cold. What do you think? When quenching your metal, you want to make sure that you're doing it in warmed up oil. Not too hot, not too cold. I don't know the exact temperature that it needs to be. All that I know is that if I can hold my finger in there and it hurts a little bit, it's okay. When I quenched the knife here, I should have had it at a 90-degree angle held in my tongs. I was quickly able to compensate, but it was a mistake nonetheless. Fortunately, it's a mistake that did not cause any trouble. That has got to be one of my favorite sounds. There's nothing quite like a file skating across a freshly hardened knife. The entire thing is good and hard. I like it. Since I have heat treated this knife, the steel is much harder. This means that it's slower going for the grinding, but that's exactly what I'm after at this point. Moving up to the 500 grit belt, this is really making for a very nice finish on the blade. It's still going to have to be hand sanded when we're done, but it takes away all of those scratches that are going to look really not very good when I bring this to a mirror polish. It is tempering time. You can see I've got the oven set at just under 400 degrees. That seems to work quite well for this material. The temper really makes or breaks the knife. Too hard, the knife becomes brittle and might break under use. Too soft and the edge will deform too quickly and it won't be able to keep its sharpness. It's a fine balance. I have chosen how long I want the tang to be, and so we're going to cut off a little bit of excess that we have. The angle in the grinder makes short work of this tempered steel. This shoulder of the blade here, where it meets the bolster, needs to be not only flat, but perfectly even with the other side. Otherwise, it'll end up being cockeyed. It's very careful filing. Speaking of the bolster, that of course needs to be made as well. So here we are using a little bit of wagon wheel. This is wrought iron that I'm shaping out to be the bolster for all of the knives. needs to be kept very hot when you're working it. If it gets too cold, it'll actually start to crack and split. The flatter does an excellent job of cleaning up any errant hammer marks that might be left over from that drastic change in cross-section. We're trying to make this as clean and flat as we can.
How about a magic trick? Ta-da! It's gone.
This may be a little on the dangerous side, but it helps ensure that the hole that I'm drilling is straight up and down through the wood, instead of being off to one side or the other. Burning the tang into the wood ensures a near perfect fit. All of the raw components are together for the first time. We get an impression as to what this blade will be. The belt grinder makes a wonderful power sander. I'm using the 220 grit belt to shape the handle down to what should be just the perfect fit. An oval handle allows for a more secure grip and also helps quite a bit with edge alignment. In this PVC container is a mixture of muriatic acid and hydrogen peroxide. It creates a fairly strong acid, although this one has been diluted by several uses. I really should have a respirator on, and a face shield on, and rubber gloves on. See, I got a little bit on my thumb. It's so weak that it doesn't hurt at all. I just went and neutralized it. It was fine. I'm going to be bringing this blade to a mirror polish, so I need to be very sure that there are no bumps or divots in this blade in any way, shape, or form. I'm using a railroad spike as a bit of a makeshift sanding block to make sure the bevel is nice and flat. Using these buffing wheels and two different buffing compounds, you can get a really nice mirror polish. It also has the added benefit of helping to make the blade even sharper than it already is. Hello and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Painting with Fire. It's so great to have you with us here today. Let's go ahead and jump right in. On this particular handle we're going to be using a lot of Ford black. It comes in many different colors. In fact, you can have it in any color you like, as long as it's black. The charring of the handle leaves a bit of an undesirable residue, so I'm going to go ahead with our 4-inch sponge here and clean some of that off. This isn't your regular old sponge. I found this one in a pineapple under the sea. It was more absorbent and yellow and porous, but, well, it's seen a bit of use. Now we dance some linseed oil across our happy little handle. After a few coats, this really helps seal in the wood and brings us right back to that wonderful Ford black that we love so much. Do you see that? You see that big crack right there? Yeah, put my handle on upside down. Time to do it all over again. seeing as how we've already shown you the process of how I made the first handle, I don't think there's any need to go through that all again, so just like magic, here we are, a few hours later, with a brand new handle to put on. Here we are, one Viking Seax, all complete. I quite like how this one turned out. It's very interesting looking. The forged finish meeting the mirror polish on the bevel, the grainy wrought iron meeting the grainy wood, all of it makes for a very interesting looking knife. If you would like to see it firsthand, you could do so, and you could own this particular knife. You'll find a link to my Etsy store in the description of this video and follow it from there. There's only one, so first come, first serve. And although I don't typically consider knives to be works of art, there are certainly exceptions, and this one, I think, qualifies as a piece of art. It is very pretty, pleasing to look at, thought-provoking. All aspects that I find attractive when it comes to art. So for me, I suppose you could say this knife is more of a toy. But what would it be for you? That's up to you. It could be a weapon, or it could be a tool. It all depends on how you use it. And that's true for most all things that we have in this world. Take this hammer, for example. This hammer is a tool, if I choose for it to be. This hammer is a toy, if I want. Or it could be a weapon. All things that you can pick up fall into these categories. It can be used as a tool, or a toy, or a weapon. What they are is defined by you in that respect. So, I ask you then, how would you best use this knife? As a weapon? As a toy? Or as a tool? Perhaps all three at the same time. Anyhow, I'll leave you with that thought. Thank you for watching. It feels wonderful to be back in the forge again, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, may the force serve you well. Well, you're still here. It's over. Go home. Well, I guess since you won't go away, I'll take this moment to thank my fantastic and wonderful patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you very much. I love you long time. Over here, you'll find a couple of videos I've done. This one is my most recent upload, and this one is one that YouTube has decided via its algorithms that you might enjoy. We all know how wonderful and fantastic and perfect YouTube's algorithms are, so I'm sure you have nothing to fear. Well, good luck.